What's up, guys? We're back, and we have a new video obviously now. We're in 2018, and we're going to be talking about what's going on with the Nintendo Switch. And it broke the all-time record for fastest selling video game console in the United States at 4.8 million systems sold in 10 months. So that is faster than the Wii, PlayStation 2, and PS4. As far as recorded information, the Switch is the fastest selling console in the United States in history. So that is a huge deal when you think about it, in all the consoles throughout all of the generations, so dating back all the way to the Atari or whenever these things were kept track of like this. This is the fastest selling system. So that is quite a big accomplishment, and definitely congratulations to Nintendo are in order. And of course, Nintendo fans are very excited about it as well. Now, there is something I want to discuss though in the response to this success of Nintendo. There was a lot of people that were angry at the success of the Nintendo Switch being selling so highly and being so successful so quickly. Lots of quote-unquote Sony fanboys and Microsoft fanboys in general being upset at the success of Nintendo. So the success of Nintendo made them angry. Now, I think this is very immature and ridiculous when you think about it, because we're in the video game industry. People making YouTube videos, people that are specializing in content focusing on video games. Nintendo is a core aspect of all video games, whether it's Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, all the companies. Nintendo is a core subject that everyone loves to discuss. So wishing for Nintendo to fail, basically you're wishing for the company to go out of the hardware making business, right? You would like Nintendo to go a third party, or perhaps stop making video game consoles altogether, or stop making video games because you hate them that much. That's how much of a fanboy you are to have this type of reaction. So I think it's extremely immature to wish failure upon any company in general, any company that makes devices or selling products. I think it's very bad to wish failure on any company. So whether you're a Sony fan or a Microsoft fan or Nintendo fan, I think it's fair and just to give credit where credit is due. So if you're a Sony fan and you hate this, I think you really need to take a look at yourself in the mirror and say that, hey, just give Nintendo credit here. They did a good job. They sold the most systems in the United States, the fastest than anyone else has in history. So I think that is something that you can give credit for this company to achieve. So it goes both ways. If you're a fan who prefers Sony or Microsoft, you would hope, or at least maybe expect, that Nintendo fans would be gracious enough to congratulate you on your console's good success as well. It's all fair business here that people are doing, and being successful is what drives the industry forward. It's because, I don't know about you, but I don't want a future without Nintendo, without Sony, without Microsoft, without these companies competing to make games for us to enjoy, because then we're going to end up with a future that involves smartphones leading the industry as being the primary game device, and having no dedicated home consoles or portables or different devices to play games on. Without this competition, without being successful, you're not going to have different types of experiences that you can enjoy as a dedicated video game player. Is that the kind of future you want for yourself as a gamer? Do you want to be able to only play games on your mobile device, your smartphone? Is that what you really want? Because wishing failure for Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo, for example, that's what's going to happen. So 2017, it seemed like a really bad year for a while there for Microsoft, right? So there was some concern that Microsoft might leave the video game industry completely and just go back to doing their PC initiatives with Windows and things like that, and leave the console industry altogether. That would have left Sony, right, and Nintendo. Now, say for example, the Switch completely flopped out of the gate, and then Nintendo decided to leave the video game industry and go third party, or possibly go into being a toy manufacturer, for example, like they used to be way back 50 years ago. What if that happened? Then Sony would have a monopoly on the video game industry. And of course, the laws about having a monopoly are pretty clear. If you do have one, you are forced to then disband your business and then create opportunities for other companies to have competition. So wishing failure on any of these companies and then having it happen could lead to catastrophic events in the future for us as the video game player. competition breeds discussion that we're having right now. It has passion, right? Something you want to succeed, something you really like to enjoy. But hating something so much that you want them to fail and leave the video game market completely, that's something at a whole nother level. That goes for Nintendo fans too. A lot of narratives were going around today about Nintendo and, oh, Nintendo's doomed, right? The sarcastic notion that Nintendo is doomed. Oh, they're really doomed, right? You know, the Switch is just a huge failure, you know, sarcastically. Now, personally, I'm totally sick of that notion that Nintendo is doomed, because even if the Switch failed, theoretically, Nintendo would still be around and they would still make another system. Even though it would be pretty bad for them, obviously, they wouldn't be completely out of the video game market even if the Switch failed. Some may say they would be. They had so much cash reserves that they wouldn't have been completely out of it if the Switch did fail. So 2018 is going to be a big year for video games. We know that. There's going to be a lot of surprises that happen. So my goal is to make sure I give credit where credit is due for every single company when they do something right, okay? So when a company does something right and they're successful at it, I'm going to give credit where credit is due, fairly and justly. Well, basically like I always have done anyway, but I know this is a Nintendo focused channel, so right now I'm giving Nintendo credit for where credit is due. What I'm really not a fan of is when a company does well and fanboys go attack the other fanboys and say, see, I told you so, look, my system's better than yours and you were wrong and blah 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 blah, and how dare you, and call my system this and call my system that, your system's gonna fail, it's terrible. I'm really not a fan of that. And I think I was guilty of doing that a little bit maybe years ago when I was perhaps less aware of what was going on in the industry. But I definitely have improved in that aspect, and that I don't do that anymore, and I give fair chances to all the companies because I realize that there's a bigger picture involved here, not just pumping my chest out and saying, hey, you're salty, and hey, you're this and you're that, and my console's better than your console. This is not what this is supposed to be about. We all should be enjoying the success of every console because the competition dictates that we get better products the more that they improve. The more competition there is, the better products that we, the consumer, get to enjoy. So there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, congratulations Sony. There's nothing wrong with saying congratulations Microsoft. Nothing wrong with saying congratulations Nintendo on breaking records or whatever they do that's successful. There's nothing wrong with that. And remember that success is only relative to the here and now. What have you done for me lately is a common term in business, right? Nobody cares what you did before. They only want to know what you're doing right now and what you're doing in the next result, basically. So whatever sales that take place now are great. The result is great right now. The Switch is fantastic. But people tend to forget about that pretty quickly once perhaps a bad sales report comes out, you see? So momentum is key, consistency is key. Nintendo still has a lot of work to do to keep that momentum going in 2018. There's no doubt about it. The Switch is not perfect. There's a lot of flaws with this system that I have brought out, obviously, in 2017. I'm not going to lie about it and make excuses about it. They're there. The system is selling. Great. So can Nintendo keep the momentum going in 2018? That's what we're going to see. Obviously, they're off to a great start right now. But remember, this industry is very competitive. So things could happen, you never know. And we'll be watching each and every month with the sales data to see how it's going. If things start going downhill for the Switch for whatever reason, it's going to be about what have you done for me lately in that moment, you see? That's just how the industry works. Now, in those circumstances, obviously, people tend to do what? They tend to blame what is wrong with the system. So any flaws with the Switch right now that have not been addressed, if anything happens in 2018, I guarantee you there's going to be people blaming those flaws for the sales lacking, you see? So basically my advice is to be cautiously optimistic about Nintendo and the Switch. They're doing a great job right now. Be cautiously optimistic. Don't be overconfident because really, you know, it's been 10 months and the Wii U is a huge failure. So it's been 10 months. Let's keep the momentum going. First, be cautiously optimistic and see what happens. But remember, if you're anybody out there that actually wants a system and company to fail at what they're doing in the market that you're interested in, you're wishing for your interest to fail in video games. Is that what you want? I don't think so. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter at smetaldave64, and I'll talk to you guys very soon in the next video. Have a great day.